Perfect. We're live. We're back. What's up, everybody? My name is Sunny Ray. This is the Sunny Ray Show. Today I'm with Brandi. Brandi, where are you in the world right now?
Puerto Rico, Boricua, Puerto Rico.
And you were just telling me about the most like beautiful scene, right? What you want to just maybe kick us off with that? Because
Ye-
I can use a bit of meditation on that scenery.
yes, yes. I love to open up my meetings with meditations anyway. So, yes, if you just could imagine the El National Rainforest, which is the United States' only national rainforest, and at the top, to the mountain next to it, is a farm that overlooks a 180-degree view of the ocean on the east side of Puerto Rico, and it's just turquoise blue water, horses that are keeping the grass clean, every fruit that you could think of, from pomegranate to papaya to avocado, cacao, coffee, you name it. And then also unique flowers that used to cost $1,500 for like a little bottle to make perfume. And the family built, the father built it in the 80s and was considered the lemon tree king farmer in Puerto Rico. But then Hurricane Maria wiped out all 180 trees and all of his irrigation. So, and he's just such a positive man, and he's leaving this land as a legacy to his children. And I got invited to tour it because I am investing in part of my fund into Puerto Rico and agriculture and precision farming technology and so forth. So, yeah, I'm excited.
So actually, I like to kick off with that, right? So what is Sacral Capital? We'll keep it like under a couple paragraphs for now, but then I promise we'll
Yeah.
get back to it near the end of the interview again.
Yeah, sacral capital was spawned off the fact that your sacral is your gut, and I've always led my personal and business and career life with my gut and my sacral. And every time I've just listened to it, it's led me down paths of, whether there was challenges, I still, gained knowledge. Then also led me down paths where it was just extremely abundant, and being able to, live my life the way I run through it and walk through it, which is, with my gut. And so Seiko Capital is born off of that name there, and that's how it. Yeah, we can go into it a little bit later, but that's what the word
Yeah, for
Seiko
sure.
means.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So you danced professionally for 21 years, right? And held
Hmm.
the Miss Gainesville title before any of this. So what did dance teach you that business school never could?
Oh, yes. Uh, being able to be a star, like a leader, at the same time as being cohesive with a group, right? And then showing up on time, having respect for the dance teacher and everyone else. You always have to wear the correct attire, so being put together. You weren't allowed to say the word can't. If you said, I can't do that dance move, or I can't, whatever, you would be kicked out of class. So right then and there, I was taught there's no such thing as no, or problems, or can't, or there's always a solution. And if you fall, get back up, you know?
So Florida kid, right? University of Florida, University of Central Florida. Walk me
Hmm.
back to, I guess, teenage Brandy. What was she chasing?
Oh, I was in dance school out of regular high school, but then inside of my high school there was a separate school. It was an academy of entrepreneurship and finance, and you had to apply to be in it because the courses that you were given in those academies were courses from the University of Florida. So you got to be ahead. So I was a year ahead by the time I graduated. And I studied, business and finance and entrepreneurship in high school. My father was an entrepreneur as well. And then my mother worked for a developer. So with all of those jobs, I was already busy. My mother's like, you need to get a regular job to learn. And I became a leasing agent at 16 years old for luxury apartment buildings. And so I was learning how to prorate, do contracts, sell, a tour, and be able to learn the emotions and psychology and needs and wants of a human. Yeah.
And then you launched a House of Berlin in 2012, or ran it for a decade.
Yeah.
What was the moment you decided you were done, working for someone else?
So I I because was around my father who was an entrepreneur, that was always the bug inside of me. Yet prior to launching House of Berlin Dash Article Agency, because I ended up hybriding with another firm in London called Article Agency, I worked for a global agency called America's Media Group Worldwide. And I always knew that it was important to, uh, when you're growing your career, to keep uh, not pivoting, but ascending in different like ways, right? And so I would go work for a company for a year to 3 years and then go back and do my own thing, right? And so I would get different experience and leverage the internal ways and operations, and the owner would end up being my mentor, and still friends to this day. So yeah.
And then you ended up running PR for Trump properties early on, right? So what did you learn watching how the ultra wealthy actually market themselves?
Yeah, so when I was at America's Media Group Worldwide, with Edward Devaye, as the owner, he had assigned me all the Trump properties that they had as accounts to handle all their PR, social media, and marketing and ad campaigns. And that's because of my background in real estate from high school. I would have never gotten that opportunity. And then I also continued with real estate opportunities through college as well. So I would have never been given those if I had not been positioned myself, prior to that. So when he assigned them, I was on the phone with Eric and Ivanka every other month for like 2 years. And what I learned is they always showed up on time. They always gave great feedback, constructive feedback, and it was just extremely professional. And and just like, let's hit some milestones, let's hit the KPIs. Yeah. And I was young. I was in Miami. I was 24 years old, assigned to these properties, and I was having fun in Miami. And I was showing up late to work sometimes, and I wasn't hitting my KPIs. So my boss did put me on probation, but that's what brought me back to remembering when I was in dance school. Like, it's time to buckle down. So then I would start showing up early, and I'd stay late, and then I started over succeeding on my KPIs, and then I got Employee of the Year globally out of 52 cities. So yeah,
So
if you
what was a single piece of advice from Edward that you still use today?
it, I don't know if it was one piece of word of advice. It was just he reminded me of what passion and work ethics translate into, as you representing you as a person and respecting those around you that are giving you those opportunities. At a young age, we kind of lose that, especially being in a wild city like Miami at a young age, It was just a fresh reminder. It was not in a hard reminder.
And most agency founders never escape the agency trap, right? So how did you start seeing the deals behind your clients instead of just, the press
Ugh.
releases?
I don't know if I just started seeing it. I got hit in the face with it, because one of my last clients that I signed to House of Berlin Article Agency was Formula One electric racing, and they hadn't launched their circuit yet, and they were referred to me to be in charge of their brand partnerships and sponsorships, and I had expertise in doing that, and so they also randomly said, the CMO and CFO, "Oh, if you come across an investor, let us know." I was like, "Investor?" So it was during Art Basel, which is the largest art convention in the world in Miami, and I was co-producing and hosting Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, his two daughters, the younger ones under Liv, their art and music launch during Art Basel. And then we did the after party. Liv was there, Steven, a bunch of other people. Then there was a big group of gentlemen at a table, and I didn't know who they were. They weren't my guests, but my sacral said, "Go up to them." And so I did. And I started sharing, we started talking, and then they're like, "What else do you do besides this?" And I told them about Formula Electric Racing. They all started laughing hysterically, and I was like, "Did I say something weird?" Like, and then they go, "Well, we just built the first Formula One racetrack in Mexico, and this is the owner of Gulf Oil License of Mexico, and he also bought John F. Kennedy's oil and logistics family company, and blah blah blah." And they're like, Can you put us in touch with Formula One Electric?" And something inside me said, "This seems like it's going to be a big meeting, and it is a little above my pay grade." Right? And so I started calling people I know, my networking manager. I'm like, "What do I do with this? What do I do?" They're like, "You need to get an NCNDA now." Well, I sent mine to Sergio, and he messaged me back, "Brandi, Formula E already sent me theirs 2 days ago." So then that became where I didn't need to be involved in the higher level meetings. Well, then I find out that he invested $50 million 2 weeks after I made the introduction, and I didn't get a dollar of it. And one, I'm not a broker dealer, which is fine, but you can legally get a finder fee as long as it's not a percentage. But that agreement wasn't prepared prior. So all these little nuances. So I go to Vegas and we launch at the CES conference, which is the big technology conference in Vegas. We launch the car. I have all the PR and media, and I wait outside of a restaurant that night in the lobby of the hotel waiting for all of the guys to come out because I was not happy. And they just sat down with me. They're like, "Brandi, we're sorry, but it just went up to the president and we had no control," which whatever. And so then I was like, "You know what? I felt like my dancer in me came back again and was like, I'm not going to let this happen again. I need to figure out what this world is. And I've always wanted to create a bunch of abundance to heal broken systems and give back to the world." And I was like, "This is the way I can do that through raising capital." And then that's when I just dived headfirst, plunged in. You're on mute, Sunny.
Yeah, my mouse is. You stack
Okay.
certifications like trophies, fintech at Michigan, herbal medicine, food as
Yeah.
medicine, energy healing. What are you building inside yourself?
So in between me owning my PR business development agency and going into venture capital and private equity, I had thought I wanted to be a naturopathic doctor. I was like looking into it because I was an athlete my whole life, and I I had this passion for studying plants and healing my body naturally and making sure that when as I got older, I didn't have the ailments that most dancers have in their body. So, and then it's just so fascinating all the white papers and research papers that were coming out about like plants, like reducing your telomere, like longevity and aging, and mitochondrial, and all these different things in the body. And I was like, maybe I should look into this. But this was when only 2 states in the United States allowed you to practice being a naturopathic doctor. It was quote unquote illegal. And there was a list of naturopathic doctors and healers out there that were going missing or weird deaths. There's a whole spreadsheet from the past 20, 30 years of people. Yeah. So I was like, hmm. And then that's when all of a sudden the this 50 million, came into the play. Uh, so I was like, okay, let me go down this route instead, because then I can heal like more with abundance, right? And then the fintech innovations in financial technology at University of Michigan. That's when I was on my way out to California to work for a venture capital firm. So, and then Bitcoin and blockchain started coming out, and so I always like to excel, like take more courses and learning, and it's just that you should.
So then in 2018, you get hired to find cheap energy, right, for a Bitcoin mining pod company. What did you know about Bitcoin walking into that meeting?
Oh, so uh, if I want to be, I'm going to be transparent and vulnerable. So it was my boyfriend at the time, a billionaire son, family out of New York City, and he and his buddy were building energy efficient Bitcoin mining pods and testing them up in upstate New York and infrared and blah blah blah, like showing how their way was reducing heat and reducing the energy. And so he heard me on calls in business and he's like, babe, I think you could help us. I was like, what? And I didn't even know what he was doing. So I had to sign, an NDA, and then he tells me what they're doing. He's like, but we need a better energy source and we need capital. I was like, okay, here, and I gave him a contract. I said, here you go. I helped boyfriends in the past with their businesses and nothing ever transpired. So he signed, and then I spent 2 weeks studying energy around the world and found wasted, stranded energy, which is flare on oil fields. And I thought to myself, wait, why don't we just push the flare back down in the pipe and then put the pod next to it, and somehow that he powers it because it's dangerous to transport. That's why it's lit up in the sky and it's top three emission causing on our planet. And then Bitcoin at the time was a huge conversation, and the treasury of it and the mining of it, and I had already been studying it prior to that and getting involved, and I had not invested in it yet or bought Bitcoin. And then I realized I could call Sergio, that same guy that invested 50 million, because he owned oil and gas companies. And so I called him, and in 3 minutes he said, Brandi, I've been looking for a way to merge old money with new money, oil and gas with Bitcoin. And he flew us to Boston, put us in a house, flew in Hess, Google Sprint, MIT, and we sprinted for 30 days. And I'm talking sticky notes all over the boardroom in Boston at the top of the highest floor in Boston of this building with the gold on it in the financial district. And we were in there like war room 6 days a week, 9 to 12 hours a day. And my invention worked. Yeah. And we deployed to North Dakota and Alberta, Canada. We were the first to ever do it.
I just wow, that's insane. Like, and I've
Yeah.
been in love with Bitcoin since 2012 or 2013.
hmm
So uh, that's really inspirational. Do you know what is it, Upstream Data? Do you know those guys?
Yeah, I know about Upstream. The company that we started was called Digital Stream Energy.
Digital Stream, right, right.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
again, what happens? You connect two billionaires together and egos start to happen. So I and my boyfriend at the time, uh, he I think a bit, he definitely got a little uh, insecure that I started leading his company, but I wasn't doing it on purpose. It was just how it happened, and so everyone just started getting weird and greedy, and I just knew I needed to step back. They were supposed to pay me 1.25 million. I only got 16,000. And his dad made him dissolve the company. He signed a contract with me behind my back. So the company was void. Yeah. So these are the things I've learned. And in business, and this is for the listeners, you really have to have a good legal team. You really have to trust who you're doing business with. But if you do go through those challenges, they are there to teach you something, and just embrace it and just have gratitude for them. Uh, because I held on a little long with the animosity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Randy, what was the day you decided to stop advising other people's funds and start your own?
So I had to obviously get some experience first. So I went out to California and I started building daily advisory board. It was called DAB, which in the world of cannabis, DAB is dabs, if the world knows it. And so, because out there, some of my friends from Miami that moved there, they were in the cannabis industry. They're like, Brandi, a lot of them need help raising money or business development or starting up whatever cannabis, this banking, cannabis, medical, this or whatever. So I created DAB, Daily Advisory Board. And then I started helping raise capital or or for these different cannabis companies. And I got interviewed on iHeartRadio with Cannabis Talk 101 Radio, the biggest attorneys in California. And then other people started wanting me to help them raise capital. So then I just had all types of clients. And then I kept pitching this one company, this one firm, venture capital firm called Dealbox. And I was referred to him. I just kept calling him every week. And then by the second month, he goes, "Stop, Brandi. Just come work for me." Because I was persistent and I had a strong pitch, and so then I went into their firm. They didn't give me a title. And then 90 days later, I flipped their company back into the positive, and with the investors, with the portcos and the internal team, and they gave me the managing director title, which normally takes 3 to 6 years to get. And it was
And,
also quarantine. So
and when did Bitcoin stop being a project and start being, part of your worldview?
if, when we were at Dealbox, they right when I came in, they were structuring the VC to be the first digital securities issuance investment firm in the United States. So we were the first to apply Tesos T3 and Vertalo, which was the back end application for uh, basically now everyone's calling it tokenization or real world assets, but it was digitizing securities, digitizing shares. So we were the first to do that. It never left my world. It still hasn't.
And then you said you studied why funds fail and succeed, and it led you to this like hybrid kind of VC PE model. What did you find that everyone else is missing?
So this was about 6 months before I registered Sacral Capital as an entity and create and thought of the name. A lot after I left that VC firm, I went back to Florida, to Miami, and I knew that I wanted to stay in the industry, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a broker dealer. Like, there's just so many facets of the finance world that you can get licenses or whatever. But it seemed very daunting to have to get your broker dealer license. It seemed very daunting on the financial front, a lot of auditing. And then I didn't want to work for another firm. I did apply to several, like Orca, which is one of the huge crypto funds out there in Miami, and a few others, but they never would hire me, which led me to, like, this is divine path. Like, you are not getting hired because you need to do what you're supposed to do, which is sacral. So I started studying why funds fail and why funds succeed, because I just had good investors. The top investors in the world have great intuition, right? That's one of the things. And I just had this intuitive feeling like, I don't want to go all VC. I don't want to go all PE. There's something happening here. Let me study why. And now everyone's talking about how venture capital is like a failing model, and that LPs don't want to wait that long. And then private equity is too much hands-on and a lot of high risk, right? And so when you merge them and then you throw in some debt and credit in there, and you create this hybrid model that creates ecosystems, and then also pulls out some dividend and rev share more often for our LPs. Yeah, less risk, more upside, um, and complete systems. So the VC play funds a PE play. Like, they grow each other.
So Sacral Fund One is a $110 million fund. It's a hybrid VCPE, right? Four verticals. Why hybrid? What does that structure let you do that, pure VC can? Like, can you just expand a little bit more on it?
So when I say the word hybrid, I, if I were to say VC PE firm, then it's like it sounds like it's like two different, and they're separate, segregated. When you hybrid it with, and also mix in debt in there, and you hybrid the different types of assets and different investment plays, that's what creates the hybrid, right? Yeah. Hmm.
Got it, got it. And then, so Bitcoin mining and data centers sit inside your fintech sleeve, right? So how active is Sacral on Bitcoin infrastructure deals right now?
Yeah. I renamed that pillar of one of our investment theses from fintech to digital infrastructure, and then infrastructure, and then consumer health and aviation aerospace. So digital infrastructure with data centers and Bitcoin mining. One of my first term sheets I signed with Big Watt Digital. They have the largest power purchase agreement hold with the state of South Dakota. And originally they were doing straight Bitcoin mining for treasury. And then when I signed that term sheet, which was 2 years ago, obviously data centers started blowing up. And so they started doing a hybrid of Bitcoin mining and data centers on the same sites. So yeah.
Hmm. So
Hmm.
cool. So the thesis stat you cite is that women-led startups outperform by 63% and minority-led by 35%. So why is the rest of the industry ignoring that?
So I've been asking this question for a long time. We women led businesses generate 78 cents on the dollar. All male led businesses generate 31 cents on the dollar. Uh, I've been asking why only 2% of the trillions of dollars in the world are allocated to women. And the only answer that I can get, and these are from like real men that have been in finance industry uh, that feel like they can be honest with me, and they just say that it's they're just used to doing business with men. It's natural for them to just do business with each other, uh, and it's like they're not. To be real with you, they're not taking a fiduciary responsibility the way they should, and they just like
Hmm.
doing deals together.
So you're aiming at a $2 billion fund. What's the bottleneck? Is it LP appetite, deal flow, or something else?
So the one I wanted to do 2 billion out of the gate, but my legal said I can't. I have to do 110 under 150 first, and then show that I can run a fund or get half of it cap raised in, and then I can file with the SEC as RIA for the 1.89 billion. And so with right now, I am raising money from women only with my seed to the fund. It's been a joy and a pleasure to be able to open that up into an SPV. So, and working with you, Sunny, it's they've come so graciously and aligned, and I'm enjoying just being able to provide an opportunity for women to come in because I don't know if anyone knows this, but in 1985, women weren't allowed to get a business bank loan without a man co-signing. So we haven't had that much time to create our own wealth as men have. And so I've been educating and providing the opportunity for women to come in. So deal flow, I mean, every day I get an inbox of deal flow. And then, yeah, I already have pretty much all of my identified universe for the fund. Yeah.
So you launched the Miami Dubai Chamber of Commerce in late 2024. Like what did you see in that corridor that the rest of the US capital was sleeping on?
Oh, so it was a lovely gentleman named Nick and another woman, his partner, they were introduced to me and they were just launching it. And he lives part time in Dubai and Miami. And so they were introduced to me and they saw that I had the expertise and background of building businesses from the ground up, or rebranding or marketing or creating processes and protocols and you name it. Then they also saw that I had the finance capital raise network of, that side. And so I took them, I didn't even know we were going to have this meeting. I just took them out to an awesome day brunch club thing in Miami. And at the end, they were like, Brandi, do you want to be our third founding partner and help us build this? And I said, sure. So I just sprinted it, and in 90 days, got us launched, all the branding, onboarded members, and then pulled back on my reins and they have just been skyrocketing since. Yeah.
Uh, I guess never problems, always solutions, right? So how do you teach that to a founder who's 3 months from running out of cash?
Oh, well, it definitely won't be one of my portcos. And I have been a growth advisor to these types of companies. And I don't know if I should say this, but the the men have been on the phone crying to me. And I've given them all the tools, built out their data room for them, made sure that there was no questions, no rock unturned, that it's at the end of the day, it's spiritual healing that needs to happen as well. So that's a whole nother world where fear of money, no matter if you're the wealthiest person in the world or the most poverty stricken person in the world, everyone has fear of money, fear of losing it, fear of having it, fear of keeping it, fear of not knowing what to do with it, fear, whatever. It doesn't matter. Everyone has, that's the only one fear all humans on planet have. And so I also, as a growth advisor, it's not just money and money and marketing of their business, but it's mindset. And so I would be there as their advisor to push them through those emotionally and spiritually challenging moments, right? And so my way of guiding them was giving them different perspectives, and then if I was getting channeled messages in, we would even go down their familial route, their childhood or past life stuff, which there's always a lot of blockages there. And you have to clear those blockages, cut those cords, get clear, and attract only those that are aligned with you.
I recently had a lady on my show who's like a Bitcoin hypnotist, or maybe a hypnotist that's a Bitcoiner. I don't know how to say it, but
Net, she
yeah,
invests in Bitcoin, but she's also a hypnotist, or she
she's
does both.
she speaks. I'll connect you to, but she's
Yeah.
amazing. So five years out, what does Sacral have to do for you to call this a win?
Oh, I will already be on roadshow for the 1.89 billion for the second fund. That will be
Nice.
that's when the win is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Brandi, we've got to do a part two one of these days, but help me land the
Yeah.
plane. Where do people learn more about you? Maybe the website. Where do you write? Are you on LinkedIn? But yeah, tell people where they can double click
Did
on Brandi.
you throw in land the plane on purpose, or do you know why you said that?
I say that on every single interview, believe it or
No
not. Like if you
way.
listen to all my 300 interviews, that's literally my
What?
okay, like let's
Oh,
land the
I've
plane.
I've listened to your interviews, but I never went to the very end. So I'm investing in aviation as well, and I have a passion for aviation since I was a little girl, and I
No
started getting
way.
my pilot license. So how awesome! I am gonna land the plane with Plunge into Prosperity is a podcast destination, plungeintoprosperity.com, where Sunny, you were a guiding light in me launching that. So you and Charles and the whole team at RAS. So thank you. Everyone can find me there, sacralcapital.com, and then LinkedIn, Brandi, Kolosky. Yeah.
Awesome. And I see we have 20 people listening live. So thank you all. And then for
Ah,
everyone else that tunes
thank
into the
you.
future, until next time, this is awesome. Thank you,
Yes,
Brandon.
thank you so much, Son.